What you focus on.
This was never something that stood out to me until today is grooming. I've heard
Mm-hmm.
of it,
Mm-hmm.
but isn't it? I mean, now that I'm looking at it, I mean, I could be wrong for saying this, but I think that grooming is a part of our society because now I have children. You see what I'm saying? So
That's exactly what I was saying. Continue,
right,
Candy.
right. I mean, I don't have girls. I only have boys. But you know, so it is a cycle. I don't think it can end. It's just how we look at it and how we teach our children. Because now, imagine if I had daughters, right? Not boys, and my daughters are seeing this dynamic because they're being prepared how to groom. I mean, to be groomed. I mean, you know what I'm saying? If my imagine if my daughter was 19 years old and she's working in college, I'm sure she's going to find attractive men her age. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it starts. So she's going to be looking at how mom is and how she responds to this stimuli, this man doing this and so forth. So I mean, grooming is a part of our society. You know what I'm saying? It's just us acknowledging whether this person's harmful or not, because, I can think back to a relationship that I had now that I'm like thinking about it. And it's like, in the beginning, it's like, he's his own person, I'm my own person. But at the same time, it's like, it's a natural part of the society for him to say, hey, well, I don't like that dress that you're wearing. Wear this dress that I bought you, and that's how it starts, or he might not have said, hey, I don't like this dress, but I bought you a dress. And it could be that intention to start changing my habits.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so we sometimes, I mean, so what line is like, is he sharing these things with me because he knows I love clothes and fashion? Or is it that he wants to change the way I dress? You know what I'm
And
saying?
now,
And those,
can I interject real quick?
sure.
Right. And I tell people this all the time because it does matter, right? So how you met me is how I am. So if you met me, and I'm gonna say it like this because I understand when you're single versus you're married, you're gonna carry yourself in a certain tone. But since you met me, if you know when I go outside and I step outside, I represent us. As long as I represent us, there should not be no indication on, hey, you need to change that because I don't like that. Excuse me, who are you talking to, sir? Because when you met me, I've been dressing this way. I've been dressing this way for many years, and you never had a problem with it. Now it's different about the approach. The approach can say, "Hey, you know what, babe? I bought this dress for you. Would you wear it for me when we go out?" You understand what I'm saying? That's different. But to indicate, "Hey, I don't like what you're wearing," and you constantly saying that, that should be a red flag to someone. I don't like what you're wearing all the
So
time. And
there's another way that grooming can occur. So um in the beginning it's like, oh my gosh, you look so beautiful. I love that. I love that dress that you're wearing. Oh, and subtly over time, you don't hear that anymore.
yes,
So you start to wonder why. And so you'll ask a question like, babe, do you like my dress? Because you're so used to in the beginning, that was part of the process is when they saw you, oh my gosh, you look so beautiful. Look at that dress. Come here, girl. Let me see you, this and that. Now all of a sudden it's pulling back, pulling back, pulling back. And so when you say, like, how do I look? I got this new dress, but us, new dress. How do you like me in it? It's okay. It's okay. You don't really like it. Well, it's kind of too much this or too much that. So it's not them saying, I don't want you to wear that. They're subtly expressing that they'd like you to do something different. And then slowly but surely, you will start to change because you want them to see you in an attractive way. But if what they're suggesting to you is almost to take away from your beauty, then that's a flag that you have to take into consideration.
I
That
mean,
okay,
agree.
it's just profound that we're women, and of course domestic violence affects more women, but across the board it affects men as well. So I always like to share that perspective. I mean, what about men who are going through these things? Because remember, grooming is not a one-sided thing, and
absolutely.
domestic
Absolutely.
violence is not a one-sided thing. You know what I'm saying? Because women, we are also manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
But
Mm-hmm.
I know it's for women, but I just wanted to put that out there. Okay. Just to be fair for the guys. Okay. One for the team. No, let me stop.
No, but you know
So,
what? I'm even though we talk a lot to the ladies, no, we can also shed light on men too because there are
Right.
men in this situation, and I know sometimes it's hard. And I'm happy that we are asking these questions and having this open dialogue. That it's hard to like how do I can tell that this person is genuine and how to tell that this person is actually manipulating me. But one of the biggest signs to me that I always see that a person that is actually manipulative and they know what they're doing and they're in awareness is that they have this state of charisma. And then when they're on the outside, right? And I have to say this because it does matter. If this person like maybe high in power or this person is very well known, and they have that charm and charisma, sometimes it is hard to scream, cry, and whoop because people will look at you crazy and be like, no, not Joe. Joe wouldn't do that. And it was like, well, if you knew Joe behind the scenes, you wouldn't say that. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard when you go out there, and this is why a lot of people they don't talk, they don't say nothing, and it's hard to get away because there are some women in those type of relationships because of that type of stigma. And I firsthand, I have to share this. I experienced this. I told this story before, and I'm going to share it again. I had a small child in my family that was touched by an adult. And when that child was touched by an adult, I don't play that. I protect the babies in the family. I took that child and I reported it, to the doctor, and I also reported it to the authorities. I went with this family member, to do all of this, and I stood by her. And because this child was young and scared, when children and youth got involved into the picture, they found it unfounded, which is kind of like made me disgusted. But however, I took it everything in my might and my power and said, you know what? I don't care what the authority says, and I know I should, but I had to protect the baby. So even though it was found unfounded, that baby is still protected, and that person is no longer around that adult. And I kicked it up a notch. Everyone who did not do anything, everyone who stood in the back and stood quiet, I cut all those family members off because your silence is loud and it's telling me a lot. So you're trying to
mm,
tell me the baby don't get a say so, and that happens a lot. We talk about the women, like you said, the children. I mean, the women, but what about the children?
mm-hmm. What
There's a
about the
lot
child?
of that. And
Yeah.
I feel sad because the babies get unheard. I can't remember the exactly case, but I know this case took place in Florida. It was very big. I can't remember the name, but this child was experiencing abuse, and the marks were very visible on the body. And y'all can, if it triggers, y'all can chime in and help me out. It was very visible. And long story short, the people that were abusing him, they literally killed him. So it was like, I feel like, where's the justice?
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many
Mm-hmm.
programs out there that do help women and children and men too. But it's like, if it's physical, why? But I know that's a whole other conversation with the justice system because
Yeah.
I'm too through with them. But it's just sad. It's sad that
I mean,
the
it
justice
is.
system for it, the people around you don't want to believe it. So it's like, I have no other choice to do but to do, and that's to stand on business.
Yeah. Yeah, it is definitely sad, especially when, there are children and they are seeing, the dynamics. It might not be physical all the time, but the verbal, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The psychological, the withdrawingness, the depression that comes from, all of that, because
Right.
usually, coming from experience, when you're having problems in your marriage, and you're thinking that it's normal, and not sharing these things with your family members. You're not going to birthday parties. You're not going to Thanksgiving dinners. You're not, coming around
Yeah.
with your family.
Isolation.
Yeah,
Yes.
isolation, those are
Yes.
definitely signs. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? And
Isolation.
yeah, those are definitely signs. And, one thing I have learned, as I got older, right? I'm now accepting that word, right, as I grew, is that having friends, having friendships, and it doesn't have to be, a friend. It could be a sister, a cousin, just having those relationships with women, who support you. So even if you're sharing just one little thing, that, you have someone who can represent your best interest and not judge you. Because the first thing they're going to say, oh, leave him, girl. He ain't no good. right? First of all, he ain't paying your rent, he ain't paying your bills, he beating you up, right? I mean, I'm just gonna be real, right?
Right.
They're gonna say leave him, you know. But you know, it's very important to have counseling, and not just marriage counseling. And this is something that I said to someone the other day. You know, if we're having problems in our relationship, it doesn't make sense to go to a marriage counselor first. You want to go to a therapist first because you want to be a whole person. There are things that's affecting that person, and it will affect the relationship.
If someone comes to you and they're sharing something about what's going on with them, to say to them, oh, you need to leave them, pack them up, let's go, that is kind of unrealistic, because
Right.
this person has, they've got they have time invested in this process. The person that's doing the abuser has time invested in this process. So it's been a slow, steady process. So it's not going to be a quick, oh, because I've shared something with you, that now I can all of a sudden just make such a big change. So what we can do is try to get this person to see a helping professional, hopefully a helping professional that understands that this may not change overnight. And what we can do, if they have children, there are so many services available for children that go into the home.
Right.
So if we're getting resources into the home, then the children are getting an outlet. And even if the mother is not ready to leave, or the father, whoever is the person that's being abused, because this is abuse and we need to label things what they are. This is abuse. That person is being abused, whether it's psychologically, whether it's emotionally, whether it's physically, or all of the above. That we can start to send in some buffers to help create change, because it may not happen overnight, and to be willing to start where the person is. And we talked, and to understand that a person, first of all, they may share something with you and then immediately go into defense of the abuser.
Yes.
Yeah, he did this to me, or
Yes.
yeah, I kind of can't come to Thanksgiving because he doesn't want us to go out. He likes for us to stay home. He this and that, but they're sharing with you. This is not really their choice, but it's he, and
He.
how to hear, or she. I don't want to make it, you know what I mean? But
Right.
to hear this language and maybe say, okay, I'm going to come over. Like after dinner, I'm going to come over. I'm going to spend some time with you and just hang out with you, because that person is now in a gaslighting, in the gaslighting part of isolation. I
Absolutely.
don't like your family. I don't like this. I don't like that. So now they don't want you there. You
Yes.
need to be
Yes.
here with me. So one thing we can do, as from a harm reduction perspective, is okay, I'm going to come over and I'm going to bring some dinner for you and everybody. Because if it's a big family gathering, we can put some stuff to the side and just take it over there. And if they say, well, no, then you kind of just show up and say, I came over. If the guy or the girl's thing is, I'll give an example, if it's football, I came over to watch the game or whatever, so that you can kind of get in to see how things are and try to change some of the narrative that this person gets to isolate this person. Now, the other part of that, though, is when you leave, that person may be in a situation where the we're going to say violence, because and emotional psychological abuse is violence. It's violence without the fist, but it is violence. It may escalate for that person, so you need to reach out and you need to let them know that you're not trying to be intrusive, but you are being caring and loving. And so it's a very delicate balance.
Dr. Bowman, I love how you said it's violence without the fist. I actually just wanted to share a quick testimony of my experience, because I feel like the more we share, it can highlight to people, and again, they don't feel alone. So when I was in this particular relationship, I can tell, like, the way that things were going, like this dude is off. Something about him is off, but I felt stuck and I wanted to get out. And I remember one day we had a conversation and I think it struck the nerve, and he pinpointed me in the corner and
Mm.
he threatened me. And I swear, ladies, right before my eyes, because it was a conversation about, oh, you're too spoiled, you need to get away from your family. Let's go to like 2 hours away from my family. And I'm like, what? I'm not leaving my family. You crazy. And in that moment when he did that, I had an epiphany. Kalima, if you stay, the next thing he's going to do to you is hit you. And I wasn't in that relationship that long. And I was young too. I was maybe about 18, 19. And I think I was about in a relationship for a year and some change. And I always tell to myself, I said, well, I laugh. This is my inside joke. I said I wasn't that stupid, because I didn't stay that long. That was just me talking to myself. And I'm not referring to anybody else. I'm not calling you stupid, but that was just me, how I spoke to myself, like, you're a smart girl. Why are you in this situation? Release yourself. You have a lot of family and support. And I did. And I got away. And I got away freely. And I know sometimes people, they don't always get to have that happy ending story, but I'm happy in my situation that I was able to. So, again, that's just my testimony. I don't know if you ladies have a testimony that you might want to share so I can shed light on the audience.
Lady K.